Great comments, obviously showing the expertise of the people who are up here on this panel. I'm going to open up now for questions from the audience. I see we have a person up here. Do we have a microphone?
Yeah, what we have is a microphone, and when you ask your question, if you can tell us your name and hand me a business card, because we are going to put this online and you'll have a lower third. So your name and then who you work for. Questions?
And I think you should give them a lottery ticket. Everybody who asks a question gets a lottery ticket too. I mean, nothing for nothing, dog. Come on.
Supports public education.
Go ahead.
So he's handing a lottery ticket sign.
Please,
So.
go ahead.
Here we go.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Luis Vasquez. I am a consultant with LAVA, but more importantly, I'm a parent of 2 young kids. My question to you, Leslie, forgive the audio here, is I think you, in your chart, I think we saw 53% of all students in California are Latino. There's a tremendous shortage of Latinos, teachers, faculty. What are you doing to actively recruit Latinos, Latinas to become teachers? And as I noticed a lot of the programs dealing with mentorship, it seems like with my children, I think they may have 1 or 2 Latino teachers. At one school, they're non-existent. So what can we do to get more Latinos involved in this important work? Thank you.
Did everybody hear the question? Okay, so what are we doing to recruit Latino teachers and mentors given the 53% of students who are Latino?
Okay. I will say that what will need to happen in some ways is you have to make it a desirable profession. And the reality is that for the past 15 years, we've been blamed for pretty much all of society's problems, it seems. And that's just, you know, and when I talk to folks, and that's in the media, and that, you know, and that's in perceptions in a lot of ways, and our folks are tired. They're tired of not being respected for their professional choice, like as he talked about it, voice, choice, and decision-making power. If we, you know, we're in an environment, and I'm not saying that my district, and I'm up in the Santa Clarita Valley, we have a good working relationship with our district personnel and our site administrators, and my colleagues up there are happy to go to school every day. That's not always the case, and I know a lot of my colleagues are telling their kids not to go into this profession. And so until there's a mindset and a reshifting of, no, this is the profession, this is a profession that shapes the future, and it's worthwhile to be a part of, and we're getting there. The Common Core standards are allowing teachers the flexibility again to teach in their own classrooms and do what they've always wanted to do versus scripted learning. And so there is that piece coming back. That's actually one piece of the motivating factor. The other issue is just the cost of tuition. And until then, there are things to forgive student loans. And to as part of working in a public school, to get folks engaged, that's also going to be important. But when the profession doesn't pay as well as other professions do, teaching is not going to be the #1 choice. Now in CTA, we are focused on that. We are trying to bring back what we had at the time was club ed programs at the high school level and connect education as a career choice for students. In my area, we have a connection, we have a grant actually with College of the Canyons, our community college up there, and one of our high schools to actually engage largely Hispanic students at that one high school to see teaching as a profession to choose. Okay. And there's a way and they're connecting then the high school experience to the community college experience, and then hopefully to then the 4-year university. And so CTA is looking at that in terms of how we can engage our high school kids to make this a profession that folks want to be a part of.
Okay, I know Marco wants to give an answer, and then Richard, we'd like to hear your answer as well.
I want to say that it's incredibly possible. We are very proud of our diversity. Only 25% of our staff is white. We have 2 or 3 times the rates of Latino Latino educators than the state, 2 or 3 times the rate of African American educators than the state. So it's doable, but it requires a lot of work. Part of the work is structural. If we don't close the achievement gap, to be an educator, you need a college degree. If we don't close the achievement gap, right? If we have half the college graduation rate for Latinos and African Americans that we have for whites, that's a structural problem that we are trying to fix, generationally. But that doesn't mean that we cannot attract. We started a program called Adelante for college students, and with LMU, there are a lot of ways of being creative, and we are having no problem attracting Latino teachers to our schools.
So you're using specific outreach. You're using specific outreach initiatives that you have developed and are launching in partnership with targeted universities?
Yes, and frankly, we are encouraging a lot of our students. Our ambition is that we can get 10 to 15% of our students that graduate from college. We graduate 1,500 seniors. We send 90% of them to colleges. If we can get 10% of them to come back as teachers, our entire student population is Latino and African American. That would be, we want this to be a vicious circle, a constructive circle.
A virtuous circle, right.
A virtual circle where we are actually really bringing in a lot of Latino and African American teachers. It's important to have that representation in front of our students.
Great input. Richard.
Just real quickly, I mentioned earlier talent and development. That's something that we're doing, partnering with our local school districts, colleges, to ensure that we have pipelines to Cal Poly Pomona, University of Laverne. Those are the big institutions in Mount SAC that work towards having our students become teacher ready and have a credential. We also are looking into grant opportunities with CTC, where we're working with classified employees that may want to transition into certificated positions. And that is something that is on the horizon. I believe all of us are probably going to be looking at that for our districts and our school systems. Those are critical pieces. And I think ourselves as educators, sometimes we're at fault. We may complain too much on how difficult administration is, how difficult Board of Educations are. In the reality, we're hurting ourselves. We have to be careful what comes out of our mouths and what we put in print, because people believe us.
There's somebody you need to talk to who's on television a lot. Okay.
I have a question.
One more question. Yes.
Diane Harrison. I'm at California State University, Northridge. Mr. Petrucci, you spoke about literacy and how important that is, and I'd also like to ask you about math. What we find is that, at least in the Northeast San Fernando Valley, about 60% of the graduating college-bound students are underprepared for math in college. LAUSD does
Yes.
not require 4 years of math.
Yeah, we've had for 16 years A through G requirements. We're with full English and full math as required by UC and CSU, and I think finally LAUSD moved through an A through G requirement this year, which we welcome. Yes, we are trying to get our kids there in math as well. It is. We're not as good at math as we are at literacy. We are scratching every year at what the issues are. But while we are amazingly successful at growing our kids 2 years in one, in literacy, we are not made the 2 year in one delivery on the math side, which is, our kids come into ninth grade at about a fifth grade level in math on average. And so it requires that our teachers teach 2 years in one, so we need the best teachers in the planet in our schools to be able to deliver on that promise. We can deliver it in literacy. We have yet to deliver it completely in math, although we closed the gap significantly over the course of 4 years. But a lot of our students need remedial math.
Okay, I'm told we have time for one more question by my boss, Helen. Yes, please.
Good morning. My name is Esther Landon, and I'm with the North Orange County Regional Consortium for Adult Education. I'd like to start by saying that how proud I am to see both of my alma maters here. I'm a graduate of Gary High School, Pomona Unified, thank you, and Cal State Dominguez Hills, go Toros. And so it's really exciting to see both of those represented here. And my question is with regards to trying to develop the connection between the business community and education, and leveraging resources. ROP has typically been sort of a separate program from, the academic track. Has there ever been conversations, or is it even being considered, or is it possible to embed sort of a co-teaching model? So that way you have your traditional subject matter teacher teaching in the classroom, but you also have a teacher from the business community co-teaching those workplace readiness skills that are so vital in the classroom, so that way teachers don't have to wait until a summer internship comes around to be able to learn those skills. It can be done throughout the school year on a consistent basis.
Okay,
what are your
so
thoughts on that?
We're running up a time limit, so panelists, do you have a 30-second answer for can we go to a model that somehow embeds industry veterans teaching with teachers together?
I'll quickly, 30 seconds. We have a charter school, Village Academy, SAIL charter, School of Education Extended Options. And that charter school is for 9th through 12th graders. And we do have teachers that come in that are in the professions, not necessarily credentialed teachers, working alongside teachers that are credentialed. We're not doing that system-wide. We're doing it with music specifically there, with technology as well. So we do that at 2 of our, 1 academy and 1 charter, but not comprehensive.
Leslie, or do you think that teachers would welcome engagement with industry veterans in their classroom?
I don't want to speak for everybody, but I think that I think it's worth having the conversations and the discussions. I think the issue largely is, again, is time. Time to craft what's, how best to use and support each other in that work, and do that. We have, that's, I don't have anything wrong with it. I just think that, I think anything's worth a try and anything's possible.
Yeah, it's way more complex than people think it is to do this because there's so much pressure on teachers to complete the yearly requirements that every taking away time from that often gets in the way of actually completing their academic requirements. So it is complex. It's a complex master schedule issue. Scheduling these things are really hard within a school, but certainly a good idea. Is just tough to deliver at a broad scale.
All right, I've been told that our time is up. Panelists, I want to thank you.